Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on adjectives that compare. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca, with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. We're doing grade 4, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of adjectives that compare. All right. So our chapter is adjectives that compare. Our subject is English Language Arts. We're doing grade 4. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on is to use adjectives with more and most. All right. So remember we said an adjective, right, is a word that tells us more about the noun, right? Adjectives, it either describes the noun, or adjective, it basically modifies the noun. So when it comes to adjectives that compare, Then with that compare, we use adjectives to compare people, we compare places, or we even compare things. So we say that adjectives, right, that compare, we can basically use adjectives to compare people, we can compare places, or we can compare things. Remember that an adjective, it tells us about a noun. So a noun, it names people, places, or things. So when we compare adjectives, right, and then we say we use adjectives to compare people, places, or things, because we're making mention of the noun. And when it comes to comparing adjectives, right, then we have comparative adjectives. And comparative adjectives, it compares two people, places, or things. And when it comes to comparative adjectives, we say comparative adjectives compares two people, or it compares two places, or it compares two things. And when we compare two places to people or to things, then usually when comparing it, then it ends with an ER. And then we have a superlative adjective. And superlative adjectives, it compares more than two people, more than two places, or more than two things. And when it comes to superlative adjectives, right, that compares more than two people, more than two places, or more than two things, superlative adjectives, it usually ends in EST. And we are now going to make examples of, or we're going to look at examples of comparative adjectives as well as superlative adjectives. All right. So now, for most one syllable adjectives, right? Adjectives with only one syllable, not more than one, only one, like tall, short, and so on, right? So syllables with so for most one syllable adjectives with one syllables, and for two syllable adjectives that end in Y, the comparative adjective then ends in ER. And if we look at an example, right, of a superlative adjective or of superlative adjectives, a superlative, right, superlative adjective, it ends in EST. Superlative adjectives, it ends in est. For example, one syllable, right? One syllable. For example, tall, the tall boy, the tall girl. So if we have the word tall, right, that is our base word. Now we're going to compare that one. So we're going to use the comparative adjective, which compare two people, two places, or things. So if we say that the girl is taller than the boy, because now we're comparing the two of them, then we're going to say the girl is taller than the boy, because that's a comparative adjective. But now that very same girl, if we compare to more than two people within the class, for example, and we say that the girl is maybe she's taller than everybody in class, and then we're going to say she's the tallest girl in class. And as you can see, it ends in est, and it's a superlative adjective. All right, so we can say tall, taller, tallest. And then for most adjectives with more than one syllable, right? All we do is we add either more to make the comparative adjectives, and we add most to make the superlative adjectives. And if we look at an example, like if look at intelligent, intelligent has got four syllables. Intelligent, right? Which means that here we said for most one syllable adjectives and for two syllable adjectives that ends in y, comparative adjectives ends in er. So if we basically have a an adjective with more than one syllable, we either have to add more to the comparative and most to the superlative. And if we look at an example, right? So intelligent. She is intelligent. If we want to compare to another learner in class, right, or another student in class, and then we can say she is more intelligent than Amy. So maybe we can say Kim is more intelligent than Amy. So we say more intelligent. So we don't say intelligent, duh. So we say, let's say, for example, we say Kim is intelligent. But now, if we want to compare Kim to Amy, for example, then we say Kim is more intelligent than Amy, because now we're comparing two people. So we say that Kim is intelligent. If we compare Kim to Amy, then we say Kim is more intelligent than Amy. But now, if we compare Kim to all of the girls in class, then we can say Kim is the most intelligent than the other girls. All right. So these are adjectives that compare, and we said adjectives that compare, right? They compare people, they compare places, or they compare things, right? That is adjectives that compare. We have comparative adjectives, and that is adjectives that compare two people, two places, or two things, and they usually end in er. And then we have superlative adjectives. All right. And then we see when it comes to one syllable or more than one syllable, right? Here we made an example of superlative adjectives that ends in est. Tall, taller, tallest. So tallest is our superlative adjective. All right. And if we, for example, have a word with more than one syllables, right? We use the word more in front of that word for comparative adjective, and we use most in front of that word for a superlative. All right. So now we're going to A plus students.ca, and we're going to use adjectives with more and most. So we're going to use adjectives with more and most. Remember, we said that we put more in front of an adjective, right? That compares to people or things. All right. And we made mention of comparative adjectives as well as superlative adjectives. Comparative adjective compare two people, places, or things, whereas a superlative adjective compares more than two people, places, or things. All right, let's look at the next one. It says Ben's older sister has neat handwriting than he. This is now comparing Ben's sister to Ben's handwriting. All right. So we said Ben's older sister has neat handwriting than he does. And if we were to choose our correct option, right? Not even option, the word, right, that replaces the word need. Because remember, it's being compared now. Ben's older sister to his writing. So we're going to say has neater handwriting than he does. So she's got neat handwriting, but her handwriting is neater than his handwriting. All right. All right. So we say that we compare comparative adjective. It compares to people, to places, or to things, and things with er. And superlative adjectives, right? It compares more than two people, places, or things, and it ends with est. All right. So we say neater handwriting. Let's go to the next example or activity. It says the queen was responsible than the young princess. We need to complete the sentence with the correct comparative or superlative adjectives. That is where we add more or most. We. All right, so now we're going to either add more or we're going to add most in front of this word. And remember, if we compare two people or things, if we add more, if we're referring to a lot of things, we add most. So we need to either add more in front of responsible or most. So it says, the queen was, do we say, more responsible than the young princess? Or do we say the queen was most responsible than the young princess? Which one was correct? All right. So now we say the queen was, do we say more responsible or do we say most? We need to choose the correct one, more or most. Which one is correct? To add year in front of responsible. The queen was most responsible than the young princess, or do we say the queen was more responsible than the young princess? All right, so we say more responsible. All right, now let's go to our test. We're going to our test where we are going to use adjectives with more and adjectives with most. Remember, we still add the word more in front of an adjective that describes two or more, two people, two places, or two things. All right, so we can then say the angelfish is the, do we say the more beautiful fish in the aquarium at school? Remember, we are not comparing this fish to all the other fish in the aquarium. So do we say it is more beautiful or most beautiful? Which one is correct? More beautiful or most beautiful? Remember, this one is being compared to literally all of the. All right, so we can say the angelfish is the most beautiful fish in the aquarium at school. So option two is correct. Well done. The next one says, well done. The father chimpanzee, do we say, was strong than the mother chimpanzee, or do we say was stronger than mother chimpanzee? Option one, do we just say he was strong than the mother chimpanzee, or do we say option two, he was stronger than the mother chimpanzee? Which one is correct? Option one or option two? So strong or stronger. And if we were to choose the correct option, we will say the father chimpanzee was stronger because now it's being compared to the mother is stronger than the mother chimpanzee. So option two is correct. Well done. Well done. Our dog Dusty has do we say, the most insistent bark of all dogs at our block, or our dog Dusty has the insistent bark of all the dogs on our block. Which one is correct? And if we were to choose the correct option, right, where we compare Dusty to all the other dogs in the block, we can say he is most consistent. Most consistent. Insistent, sorry. The next one says the new house on our block is the modern one I've seen, or do we say the most modern one I have seen? Which one is correct? And if we were to choose the correct option, we can say the new house on our block is the most modern one I have seen. So well done. Let's look at the next one. It says the animal shelter has a great need for dog beds than for cat beds. So the animal shelter has do we say, a great need for dog beds than cat beds, or do we say the animal shelter has a greater need for dog beds than cat beds? We need to choose option one, or we need to choose option two. Great or greater. And if we were to choose the correct option, we would say the animal shelter has a greater need for dog beds than cat beds. So option two. So well done. Option two, greater need. So well done. So Ben's older sister has, do we say neat handwriting than he does? Or do we say Ben's older sister has neater handwriting than he does? So Ben's older sister has neater because Ben's older sister is being compared to the brother. So Ben's older sister has neater handwriting than he does. So neater with an ER. So well done. Option one is correct. All right, the next one. We need to complete the sentence with the correct comparative and superlative adjective. So the bench under the giant oak tree is the, do we say peaceful spot in the park, or do we say it is the most peaceful spot in the park? Which one is correct? All right. So we say the bench under the giant oak tree is the, do we say it is the peaceful or the most peaceful spot in the park? Option one or option two? And if we were to choose the correct one, we would say the bench under the giant oak tree is the most peaceful spot in the park. So well done. Most is correct. Yes, well done. Option two is correct. Then the next one says, complete the sentence with the correct comparative adjective or superlative adjective. So do we say Mrs. Griffin is probably the richest person I've ever seen or the rich person I've ever seen? Which one is correct? All right. And if we were to choose our correct option, right, by either stating if it's a comparative adjective or a superlative adjective, we can say Mrs. Griffin is probably the richest person I've ever met. So we can say Mrs. Griffin is probably the richest person I've ever met. Richest. All right. Then if we were to choose the correct option, all right. So we say grandma always says that having good health is the, do we say it is the important thing of all? Or do we say is the most important thing of all? All right. And if we were to choose the correct option, we can say grandma always says that having good health is the most important thing to do. So option two is correct. All right, let's do the last one. It says the alligator at the Springdale Zoo is, do we say it is longer than the one at the Oak Grove Zoo, or do we just say it is long? So the alligator at the Springdale Zoo is longer, or it is just long than the one at the Oak Grove Zoo. All right, so we can say the alligator at the Springdale Zoo is longer than the one at the Oak Grove Zoo. All right. Yes. So this is now the end of our lesson on adjectives that compare. We said when we compare adjectives, we are comparing people, places, and things. We can compare to two people or to more people. When we compare adjectives, right, then it means that we add, and when we compare two people or two things, then we add an ER to our base adjective, right? If we are adding, if we are comparing it to more than one people, and then or more than two or more people, and then we just add an est. If there's two or more syllables, we can add more to the comparative adjective and most to the superlative adjective. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade fours, for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good weekend further. Yes, we are done, so have a good weekend further. Until next time, goodbye.